Hello, hello, people. How are you? I am Tony Lindsay, the host of We Need to Talk with Tony Lindsay, and I am here still setting up the infrastructure for our show. I'm kind of a one-man show right now, but there are a couple of things that have happened recently that I want to address because I think it's very important. And as you all know, one of the things that I prioritize is my community. And and hold on. And in that prioritization of my community, there are certain issues that I have to talk about. And one of those issues that I want to talk about today is the professional managerial class, aka gatekeepers. I think that it is about time that we discuss the gatekeeper problem that we have in the black community when it comes to our politics, because things are coming to a head. And once again, I think a lot of us are missing the point. Now, we all know that the DNC, the DNC convention, uh, it kicked off yesterday. And one of the things that we saw that happened that I wanted to talk about was an incident that took place between Roland Martin and J. Mall. What's his name? Is it J. Mall Green? Is that his name? Let me make sure because I don't want to get the young brother's name. I think it is J. Mall Green over in Chicago, a young activist, very, very smart young man. I respect him. Very, very, very smart young man. He's very dedicated to his community. He tried to run for mayor, I believe, out there. He was unsuccessful in his bid, but uh, yeah, J. Mall Green. Yeah, he was unsuccessful in his bid, but he's out there in the streets on the ground doing the work. And one of the things that I see is there's a very significant disconnect between the professional managerial class or the gatekeepers of the black community and the black grassroots folks that are actually doing the work on the ground. And what we are all witnessing, what's coming to a head is we're seeing a lot of condemnation. We're seeing we're seeing this cabal of black media gatekeepers who continue to attack black people, especially young black people, for thinking critically. And anybody that knows me, you know that one of the things that I always encourage is critical thinking, especially when you're conducting your politics. The most harmful thing that you can do is approach your politics you based in emotion. And that's what we have been doing as a black community. And I think that's why it has been historically very easy to target us and get us to act and vote against our best interests based in our proclivities to our emotional proclivities. And Roland Martin specifically is a person who has been, a media personality for a while. He used to be a contributor, I think, on MSNBC. He's been a mainstream media contributor for a while. But since leaving, whether he was fired, pushed out, left on his own, but since entering the independent space, Roland Martin has been continuously regurgitating a lot of the same mainstream media propaganda talking points. And in my opinion, it has been to the detriment of the black community because Roland is so hyper partisan, and everything that he does, although he purports it to be for the benefit of black people, it actually ends up to the benefit of the Democratic Party. And one of the insults that I always hear from black folks who are upset at black folks who don't fall in line with Democrat politics is you call them a sellout. You say that they're a traitor, they're a coon, they're this, that, and the other, because they're not funneling their politics through a political party that is run by white liberals. And that's that's the hypocrisy of all of this. Now, to get to the point of what happened, Roland Martin put up some post on Twitter, uh, being very disrespectful to Jamal Green. And anybody who knows Roland, who watches Roland's show, who follows him on social media, you know that he is notorious for calling people names, being extremely disrespectful to anyone who does not agree with him or think like him. He loves to call people idiots, fools, dummies, all types of names. And that's not how you reach people, especially young people who are trying to figure things out in this current political environment, in this economic environment, young people who are very much so critical thinkers. But what you have is Roland Martin, who is about 50 something years old, who breathes down his nose at all of these black folk, everyday black folk, who he's allegedly trying to reach. And I don't know if he doesn't realize this. I don't know if it's because he's been so far disconnected from the actual community that he doesn't realize that all he's doing is pushing those people away. How do you expect to be able to bring people closer to your point of view when all you do is attack them and vilify them and call them names? And that is what Roland Martin does regularly. Now, he put up some posts attacking the young man because he I guess he disagreed with something that Kamala Harris said with her economic policy. Now, Jamal should be free to do that. Roland Martin, of course. See, that's the thing Roland does. He goes around social media, he looks for people that say things that he can capitalize on, and he'll try to get a viral moment. He'll put out some stupid post to try to trigger them into like some type of a back and forth battle, which to me, that's trolling. It's like you're looking for clicks by doing this with these disingenuous, ignorant ass attacks. And also, I think a lot of that has to do with trying to bolster his own ego. So he puts up the post. He's very disrespectful. Jamal responds, basically, why you calling it? You don't need to say this. But Jamal laid out the reason behind what he was saying. And he's saying, like, why you know what? Let me just, do I have it here? No, I don't have it here, but I'll pull it up in a second. Roland responds to him again by calling the young man stupid. And I want to show you an exchange that I had with Roland Martin. And this will kind of give you an idea of the type of attitude that Roland has when it comes to outreach to his own community. So let me just show you here. All right. This is what Roland said. He reposted Jamal's post. This is Jamal's response to Roland attacking him. Since Roland Martin thinks he's smarter than everybody, tell him to read the fine print. First time homeowners got to pay blah, blah, blah. Right. Now, Roland, this is Roland's response to him and says, we literally have first generation blacks going to college today. These idiots love to throw out BS, so the grossly uneducated fall for the nonsense. Well, let me start by asking you, calling him an idiot, do you think that you're going to somehow educate people by calling them idiots, Roland? So I saw this post and I was like, yo, let me just leave a little comment. I said, serious question. This is to Roland Martin. Why do you always get on social media to call people stupid and idiots? Who are you attempting? Well, I meant to attempting to appeal to. Roland says, if it fits. This is the type of arrogant attitude, that people have. Well, if it fits. So my response was, you need to study historic black leadership if your aim is to reach your people, because continuing to talk down your nose at them will ensure it's only going to ensure disdain for you and ineffectiveness. The only people that behavior serves are the ruling class. And I think most reasonable people would agree with that. The ruling class, they thrive in our division, in our ability to get along. They as long as there is this collective dysfunction within the black community, it's much easier to manipulate us. So Roland's response to that, what I thought was a reasoned perspective, was, whatever. I've interviewed historic black leadership, many of them. I don't know what the hell that has to do with what I just said, but he's saying I interviewed historic Black leadership. Meaning that's his response. So I said, oh, he said whatever. Right. So I said, yeah, and I bet you didn't disrespect any of them. Yet you disrespect your own people. Like, come on, get the point, bruh. Roland Martin's response, whatever. So this is the attitude that people like Roland Martin have when you try to engage with them and get them to course correct in certain behavior, in condescending behavior towards their own community. And it ain't just Roland Martin. And outside of just his extreme arrogance, there's a real gatekeeper problem, because I've been seeing this cabal, as I said, of Black celebrities, popular Black influencers, social justice leaders who have been so feverishly spewing Democrat dogma. Like, it's like they're fighting for their lives. It's like they're drowning and they're trying to stay above water. Like, oh, please, come on, come back to the Democratic Party. And it's like, why this rabid, unhinged attachment to the Democratic Party? Now, a lot of them are going to gaslight you, and they're going to say, oh yeah, well, the economy's great and I'm doing well, and so many of us, college educated folks, and my 401k looks great. But guess what? That doesn't apply to the majority. And the more, and this is what I mean about the disconnection from the actual community, the people on the ground, the people out there in the streets, the everyday Black folks that are out there. See, I'm speaking just to Black issues right now. And you come off as extremely obtuse. You come off as apathetic to the real experiences that are being lived, that are being by Black folks in certain communities. And it's like, bro, just because you're doing well, it doesn't mean that the rest of us are. All you're doing is you're putting forth the image that you're just trying to protect your positioning. You're trying to protect your wealth, your privilege, your access. And it is becoming so transparent. It's becoming so obvious. All you got to do is just like read the room. Look at the comment sections on social media. Most of these Black gatekeepers, you're posting all of this shit, talking down to the Black community, talking down to your followers. And when they check you, you basically telling them that they don't know shit. Like, y'all ain't shit. Y'all a bunch of haters. See, that's delusional behavior. That's you looking for an echo chamber. And some of y'all have done some good work. I'm not going to call out no names out of respect, but I have been reaching out, trying my best to say, listen, let's have a public conversation that everybody can benefit from on these conversations. You understand? Let them witness the opposing points of view and show them how the dialogue is supposed to transpire. But they don't want to have these conversations with me. They don't want to have these conversations with critical thinking Black folks. Why? Because you represent a threat to their privilege. And that's just the obvious truth of this. Because when you attack Black people for thinking for themselves, you are serving as an enemy to Black people. And so when you have the Ricky Smileys, when you have the DL Hugleys, oh my God, this guy is just too much. And then you have the Steve Harveys who are talking about, I'm going to just lob her I'm going to lob her a slam dunk question. I ain't asking her no hard, tough questions. What kind of a person, how do you encourage Black people to vote for a candidate and tell them to shut their brains off? How do you get up on your platform to millions of people and say to Black people, no, I ain't going to ask her no tough questions? You're telling Black people don't even think about policy. You're telling them we need y'all to vote for symbolism. What? Is this how low you think of the Black community, that you can talk to them like that? That you can be so insulting and disrespectful to Black people? I see y'all gatekeepers talking about the only reason why y'all want to vote for Trump is because you want some check. Wow, is that really what you think of your community? And then when you get cooked by your own followers, you turn around and say, why can't we all just get along? Why are y'all being so mean and toxic in the name calling? I don't understand why y'all doing this. When you are literally the ones who are attacking the people in the community who are experiencing hardship due to this administration, and they're frustrated and they're looking for answers. But you're shaming them for asking questions. You're shaming them for making their own decisions. That's why I always say I will never judge anyone for how they vote. How you vote is your business. But you all have, all of us, we have a responsibility to be informed. We have a responsibility to look at the policies that are gonna impact us, our families, and our communities. Why are you telling people to ignore all that, Steve Harvey? Why is Ricky Smiley crying over the symbolism of Kamala Harris? Why are you people talking about just think about your mama? Telling black people think of Kamala Harris ain't my mama. She wasn't raised in an environment that's anywhere similar to my mama. What does that have to do with anything? Why is the expectation of black political engagement, why is the expectation that we must be so dumb? Why do you always appeal to the lowest common denominator of black people when conducting your politics? Why do you expect and demand that black people are the dumbest voting bloc in the United States? And I'm not even talking to the gatekeepers at this point, because I really don't care about the gatekeepers because they have their own agenda. We have a responsibility to reach out to people who can see that their eyes, their lying eyes, aren't lying to them. You can't afford to buy groceries. You're trying to choose between food and rent. You're making more money now, but yet it's harder for you to live due to inflation. And yet they're telling you, oh, that's nonsense. Joe Biden, this is the greatest economy ever. And this speaks to the fundamental lack of education and lack of understanding of politics and even basic economics. We're talking about how inflation is down under Joe Biden. Yet we're speaking based on quarterly metrics or whatever. Let me use an example for you guys that I did the other day when I was on a TikTok live for the inflation that we're experiencing. I was 200 pounds in April. I got an injury and I had a rotator cuff, like a massive surgery on my arm. It was a bunch of tendons ripped. So I was basically bedridden. I can only go bed, couch, that's it. During that time, I gained a lot of weight. Right now, so let's say from April to May, I gained 10 pounds. From May to June or May to July, whatever, I gained like another 15 pounds. I got all the way up to like 237 pounds. But over the last month, I dropped about 6 pounds. So even though now I may weigh 231 pounds, do I get to say this has been the greatest weight that I've ever been? I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I am, even though I started at 200 pounds, because everyone is ignoring 2021. What is the price? What is the cost of everything based upon from 2021 to today? So because you've been on a constant climb, because I've been constantly gaining weight, the 1 month that I gain weight at a slower rate or that I might dip a little bit, is that what I'm supposed to celebrate as this huge success and this is the best and healthiest that I've ever been? That's Joe Biden. That's Bidenomics for you. And this is what folks got to understand. There's a lot of context to these things. And the gatekeeper class, they love to obfuscate, they love to trivialize, and they love to just bury you with a lot of talk, a lot of yapping, without really focusing on the substance. And Roland Martin is very good for that. So anyway, after him being disrespectful, I warned him about that disrespect, talking to that young man like that. Well, real men do real things. At the end of the day, real men do real things, and Jamal Green pressed him. He stepped to that man to have a face-to-face conversation, just as he promised. He said, all right, I'm going to see you in Chicago, and we're going to talk about this. Because Roland Martin was talking all that hot shit on the internet. You talking all that hot shit, calling this dude a fool, did a whole show, a whole segment on Jamal Green, calling him out. You talking real tough on the internet, but when Jamal Green comes to you to talk to you about it, all of a sudden you got amnesia. And I'm just gonna show you a little clip from when they saw him. Hold on, right here. Get on. Sorry, not here. Give me 1 second. No, ain't no. First he said, Jamal said, hey, Roland. Roland said, 1 second. Let's play it. Give me 1 second. No, ain't no. I gave you enough pictures. I gave you enough pictures. Now, yesterday, you tweeted about me. You tweeted, you called me dumb. You called me dumb. Look how everybody starts grabbing him. That's the interesting thing. And the black woman who jumps in front of Roland to save him, and the dude pulling on Jamal Green's arm when his arms was actually folded when he was talking to him. But he pulling on him and security. What happened, Roland? Why you didn't want to have that conversation? You was talking all that hot shit. But here, let's give you another angle. Get on. Yesterday, you tweeted about me. You tweeted, you called me dumb yesterday, right? First of all, you called me dumb. Say what you got to say right now. Say what you got to say. Say what you got to say right now. Say what you got to say. It's all good. Oh, it's all good now, huh? It's all good when that grown-ass man, when he reminded you that he's a grown-ass man. And I see a whole bunch of people, oh, that's not the place for that. Why would he do that and go there? Why the hell are y'all worried about the gays, the white gays, the DNC gays? Hold on. My camera accidentally kicked off. Let's see. Am I still here? Hold on. Uh-oh. I might have to switch cameras, y'all. Hold on. Let's try one more time. Please work. I told you. There we go. That's all right. Good. So as I was saying, why are we always so worried about how we look in front of other folks, right? Jamal went there to confront that man as men should. He didn't say, yo, let's go outside and fight. But the moment when you go to a man who has been disrespecting you and you stand in front of his face and you challenge him to say what he has to say to you, let's talk about how you're saying I'm stupid. Instead of you putting up all of these posts on social media, being a keyboard warrior, here is the man you're talking about right here in front of you. Let's talk about it. Immediately, all the women came in. Oh, save Roland. Roland said, oh, no, it's okay. The dude panicked. Like, why? You was talking so reckless, but then when you get confronted, it's a different story. And the thing is, Roland did the same thing with King Randall. I don't know if you guys remember the young man from he started the school X for Boys. Brilliant young man. And I actually want to show you a segment because this is the history of Roland Martin. This is just who Roland is. Roland is very disrespectful and condescending, one, to black people that he doesn't agree with, but especially to young black people. And I want to remind people about this because this should remain in the minds of everybody, what Roland did and how he disrespected that young man, King, when, in my opinion, King cooked him the whole time, that entire segment. And also, I want you to watch how Roland funnels all of his politics, all of his quote unquote black politics through the Democratic Party. Let's take a look.
For no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed.
Right, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I know. I asked you a question. Ask you a question. And the question is this here. Do you believe Republicans in your state are wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Okay, just to pause right there. What Roland Martin is doing in this moment is he's filibustering. He called King Randall onto the show. It was supposed to be to talk about his school expo boys. Roland Martin continues to pivot to Republican versus Democrat talking points while this young man continues to tell him, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just here for black people. But Roland continues to try to impose this belief that the only way to save black people is through the Democrat Party. Just giving you some context.
Well, no, here's a perfect example. This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you.
I agree with you. Listen, I'm sorry. Look at Roland's face. Look how he's thrown off. See, Roland is trying to create an adversarial situation. He needs someone to beat up on. What happens when you can agree with someone on an actual point, even though you may not agree with them otherwise politically? That's what Roland Martin thrives in, the ability to outtalk you, to yap over you, and engage in binary politics, in partisan politics, where it's either, if you're not on this side, you're on that side. Even though this young man is trying to tell him, bro, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. Oh, I agree with you. He literally asked Roland for context for what he was talking about. When Roland explained to him, he said, yes, I agree with you. But let's keep going.
I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
Jesus.
My issue, I fight for young black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization.
Look at Roland's face. King just said, my issue is I fight for young black men before they die. And look at Roland's face.
I do teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be all end all.
No one says the be all the end all, but it's a part of it.
But you guys promote voting.
King literally said that voting is a part of it. What are you disagreeing with? What are you checking him on, Roland? Listen.
Voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So so define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self.
Hold on. I didn't even realize that. Look at that. That's Roland's favorite word, calling young black men idiots. Okay, objectively speaking, what Roland said, not Roland, what King said, was there anything wrong with what he said, speaking about black people doing for self and not being dependent on the government to save them? I wonder how many black folks on the ground, how many everyday American black folks believe that? How many people think that what he said was wrong when he said black people shouldn't be depending on the government and we should be doing for ourselves? We should be building for ourselves. That's offensive to Roland Martin.
Like what? Explain that.
Okay, for example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting.
Look at Roland's face. Look at the disdain in his face as this young man is actually schooling him. Let me tell you something. I did an interview with King, and I've met him a couple of times. Brilliant young man. I really like him. Everything that he's saying in this video right here is 1000% on point. If I was in Roland's shoes, I would have been like, whoa, that's a really good perspective. You know, that's very good, young man. You know, well, maybe I can also add this to your agenda. I think maybe I like what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Where's the praise? Where is the support for what this young man is doing? No, look at Roland's face.
Expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're going to go do it for ourselves. And that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's going to change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Is that not government?
What? Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is going to be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it going to be?
Most people, bro. Y'all see what I'm talking about, though, right? I think we got the point. You know, this is how they behave when they lose the advantage, where they're unable to attack you on substance. And this is basically what I'm talking about. The enemy to the gatekeeper class, the enemy to the professional managerial class is facts. That's the enemy. Factual information. And context, I would even say more so context is what is the enemy of people like Roland Martin. So I encourage Black people to continue engaging in discourse with the critical thinkers among us. And, you know, like I said, I put this invitation out all the time. If anyone wants to engage in these conversations in a real way so that people can actually benefit from these conversations, I will always make myself available. And there are a lot of people, a lot of Black folks out here who aren't celebrities, who aren't famous and popular on the internet, who are far more qualified to engage in these conversations, especially to the benefit of the Black community. Stop allowing political parties to govern your mind, your mindset, your thoughts. Stop funneling your politics through a mindset of dependency on these political parties, which are not going to save you. If people decide that they don't want to vote for Democrats because their lived conditions have not improved for years upon years, and they've been doing the same thing over and over and over again, how can you judge them for wanting to do something different? Why are you so attached to the Democrat Party? And I think the media has a lot to do with that. And unfortunately, a lot of these gatekeepers who have been participating in the social indoctrination that teaches Black people that we cannot function independently without that white hand holding and pulling us in and holding us up. What they continue to teach us is that we need to be dependent upon the government and Democrats to save us. Let's abandon this rhetoric of saving Black people, and let's save ourselves by being intelligent in our politics and learning that we need to navigate those politics intelligently and logically. Pull your emotions out of it. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's sad to me that so much of the discourse in our politics today is being conducted by the people who are least impacted by the decisions that are made. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why your voice is omitted from the conversation. Because the moment the American people stop falling for the scam of division and fighting each other and hating each other over politics that do not serve them, that's the minute that we start to see this corrupt system crumble. The enemy of a corrupt system of government is an informed people. That is the biggest enemy to corrupt government. So we have a responsibility to uplift each other in our politics, educate each other, help each other. This disgusting, vitriolic environment that we're seeing today, that's not us, Black people. And don't let these people who are doing the bidding of white liberals convince you of that either. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm Tony Lindsay. This is We Need to Talk with Tony Lindsay. You can find me on YouTube at We Need to Talk with Tony. You're also going to be able to find me on Rumble, which is where I'm setting up my platform right now. And you can find me on TikTok at Tony L Talks. And you know, y'all figure out the rest. And I'll be back very soon. Thank you for tuning in and listening.